You are a son of a
Un saluto a
bitch.
tutti.
What's up, Juventini? Welcome back to the AJC. It is match day. We got Lazio and Juve set to face off today, and I've got my man Omer with me. We've had a wild week of news. We got a surprise in the starting lineup today that we're going to talk about, and man, I'm actually looking forward to the action come back. It feels like forever because of the international break and everything, but how are you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good. It's been a while. Feels like a month ago. But I don't know, maybe that's what Juve needed, a little break and get out of the environment. So let's see what happens today.
There you go. There you go. We're going to tackle it all. And everybody in the chat, what's up? You guys drop a like as you're coming in here. Alex P. in here. Ciao tutti. Forza Juve. We got Buongiorno a tutti from Magical Realism there. And Shatterstar talking about asking for criticism with this starting lineup talk. We're going to tackle it all. And there's just so much. And it's tough to kind of figure out where to start, but we're going to kick things off with Weston McKennie. Weston McKennie taking some flack, taking some heat from some of the fan base, just in terms of the latest rumors and reports that we don't necessarily know if they are in fact even true, but based around the point of Juve making a proposal that was a decreased salary and him not taking a liking to it. You have his dad liking posts about that on Twitter, that McKennie didn't accept a renewal at a lowered salary, whatnot. So it kind of leads you to believe maybe that is the case. But fans saying he has no leg to stand on, shouldn't be asking for this and whatnot. And I want to get your thoughts. The fun part about this show for me is going to be the fact that for whatever circumstances, I don't actually know where you stand on anything that happened this past week because it's been such a zoo and everything's so busy. And we never actually linked up in the team chat there. So I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on all this. And we're going to kick things off with McKennie. Is McKennie out of line, or how do you feel, Omer?
Well, first of all, the media never disappoints during international breaks, so we had our fill with Juve news, and there's a lot to talk about. I feel like I needed a break a bit from just football in general. I didn't watch any of the international, just wasn't that important anyway. So yeah, Weston McKennie. I don't know. Does he want a higher salary? A bit higher? I guess he has a leg to stand on. He's been one of the better performers this season. I don't know. His trajectory, the road he took since he got to Juve was weird, and I can't put my finger on what type of a player he is, what to expect from him in the future. Is it worth it? I mean, based on this season alone, if very few guys deserve to ask for a raise. Maybe McKennie is one of them. For me, he's one of them. Not something major, but at least a small raise. That's what you aspire to. I mean, if you want to extend the contract, it's nothing out of the ordinary. Um, would I give it to him? I don't know. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. Maybe depending on Rabiot's situation and what
Yeah,
happens with him.
I kind of feel the same way. Like, I mean, if we're looking at this, we have to be honest with ourselves. We gave Gatti a slight increase. There was a slight increase and an extension to Hoyson before sending him on loan. McKennie is our leading assist man. There's no problem with him asking for at least the same money. Like, it is kind of a slap in the face for Juve to offer something less than what he's currently at. If anything, it should be the same. So I can understand McKennie's feelings. In terms of asking for more, he's got the right to. But would I do it? I don't necessarily know if I would. His price tag is up. He's doing well. Maybe that's the time you kind of move him, try to make a boost somewhere. We did pick him up for not a whole bunch. He has always had interest. It's going to be an interesting one to see. But I don't understand the attacks on him for simply asking or whatnot, or not wanting a decrease. I think that's well within his rights, being the leading assist man this season. No matter what we think of him technically or what anybody has to say, the numbers are there. He's been one of the most consistent players for us, and I think he's got the right to do that. So we're kind of on the same page there. But it does become a little bit of a difficult decision when you start thinking about whether you should and what you want to do with him. That's where it kind of becomes interesting. And you're right. Rabiot will kind of have something to play in that as well. And what happens with some of these other targets. So, yeah, we'll see. It's going to be an interesting one to follow. But McKennie was taking some heat from the fan base there. And
I
yes, of
think
course.
he wants some guarantee because I mean Juve has been in the news for in the market for a new midfielder for a long time. Two midfielders, that was all that's reported. So maybe he wants some guarantee that he has a place in this team, and he's not the first to go to the bench after Juve buy two new midfielders.
Yeah.
And maybe some money investment is kind of what he looks for.
Yeah. At the same time, I mean, he's going to understand the situation. Given the situation that Juve's in and trying to bring players' salaries down and everything, bring annual costs down, that's just essentially not making it that he absolutely has to ask for a decrease or accept this decrease because that's the situation the club's in. And that's kind of this
That's
automatic
ridiculous.
frame of mind that the fan base goes to. Ultimately, it's up to him whether he wants to stay or if he wants to try something else somewhere else if
I
he
mean, it
doesn't want to
should
accept what
be.
we can offer. So it's going to be an interesting one.
It's. I mean, how old is he? 25. He'll be 26 in August. That's not the age you get a decrease in your salary. That's like you should
Yeah.
be at your peak. I mean, I don't know anyone. I don't remember anyone who took a decrease at that age, just for the sake of staying at the club, no matter what.
Yeah.
I get him. I get why he wants that raise, and yeah, decrease is kind of a slap in the face from the club.
Yeah. If they're gonna be extending, I mean, it's gotta be same money. It's hard to ask these guys to take less when the one guy you're asking to take less has been actually outperforming guys that are well above him in terms of salary. So, you know, something's got to give. Something's got to give. And yes, happy Easter. So, Rick Housey there, Juve family from everyone at JOFC Melbourne, Gigi Buffon family. Yes, Buona Pasqua, happy Easter. Nothing but the best for all of you, all right? And watch along in effect. The post match podcast still taking place tomorrow morning, early our time. That's the benefit of us cracking this thing at 5:30 a.m. And don't worry if you can't get in here live because of that. That's okay. You watch the replay, all right? So, McKennie kind of tackled that one, but this one kind of falls in line with what we're doing with other players and how it could kind of, shed a light on other players' feelings, at least being a part of this roster. Keenan Yildiz, labeled as this cornerstone, Juve looking at extending beyond 2027 already, apparently giving him a pay hike and ready to give him the number 10. I had to sit back and say, there just can't be, this just can't be real. It can't be at this point where, what are we doing here? What are we doing here that we need to bend over backwards for like some 19-year-old given his high potential and everything like that? But can we just have guys earning their keep before we go to like such extremes? You've got him to 2027. That's good. He's already been integrated a lot this season. That'll continue. But for me, it's a wild sign of the times. Omer, your thoughts on getting reports like that?
How
Because he
many did
does
we
have a
have?
ton of interest.
It does. How many, like projects or players that the project centers around did we have in the past 5 years? I, I'll tell you the answer. Too many. And Ildiz is just a new name, and it's kind of even demeaning to Juve because they're sort of begging, just please stay here. We'll give you whatever you want. Take the number 10, whatever. And He's a 19-year-old kid. I don't know. I'm sick and tired of all these new projects, and this player is the center of that. I mean, it obviously doesn't work. Building around a center player, build a team, and he should be part of that team, especially at 19. And the number 10 is, maybe it's up for grabs, but someone has to earn it. Maybe
Yeah.
he's a candidate, yeah, but just leave it. I don't get it. I've had enough with these player-centered projects that we're
Yeah, just
trying to initiate all the time.
just pump the brakes. Pump the brakes. It's cool to want to see a young guy succeed at Juve. It's cool to want some of our guys that came through like he did from Primavera Next Gen after we picked him up from Bayern's academy. It's cool. We all want that. But let's not lose our heads about it. And this, I've talked a lot about setting standards and everything. And my word, man, like, could you imagine a day like back when, as far as we've supported that we would get to a point where 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds are kind of like having this type of demand almost over the club? Like, I never thought I'd see the day. Never thought I'd see the day.
I don't know where it comes from, if it stems from the players or from the club. Like, is the club pushing that agenda and like sort of laying back and just giving the youngsters whatever they want because they're prospects, or does it come from the players? I have no idea. I hope it's not the club. But I don't think Yildiz has anything to do with it. I think it's just to fend off, anyone who wants to buy him and ready to invest.
Yeah.
Because yeah, maybe they might be tempted, and I don't think that's what they want.
Yeah, it's just strange. It's just strange to hear things like that. And yeah, I don't know. There's question marks all over the place, and we got a big question coming out of the news with Gleison Bremer and on that release clause getting confirmed out of nowhere after hearing no confirmations from the credible guys. And then all of a sudden, I wake up one morning and here's Romeo in a video stating, yeah, it is confirmed. 60 to 70 million variable is what he was saying. Now, since then, obviously, it's been tackled by Skira and he says it's concrete. It's 70 mil and it's next season that it kicks in, July of 2025. And it's probably going to see an extension due to the Club World Cup. So they'll actually end at the end of that tournament. But yeah, it's gonna kick on there. There's a 10% sell on going to Torino for anything over 40 million. This release clause thing, and all the reports suggested it was from the new extension. And the main question being asked by the fan base is this a little bit of a red flag? Is there cause for concern with Juntali and Mana on this, one of your top assets? And I'm excited to hear your answer and your take on this because I actually haven't heard your thoughts since this has come out. So, Omer.
Well, I had a few posts on Twitter just, letting off steam a bit because it gets annoying. All these, I don't know, we had it with Bonucci and with Sandro and all of these, hidden clauses in the contracts that we one bright day find out about, and it kind of sends everyone raging. And I'm not, I mean, something doesn't add up in all of that. I think there's something we're missing in a contract, something we don't know, because if there isn't, I mean, it sounds like a real dumb move. That's one of the top defenders in Europe this season. He's at the right age, exactly the right age for anyone to buy him and still have him for like 8 to 9 years. There's no way we make like 20 million with 10% of it going to Torino. That sounds like a dumb clause. We bought him for almost 50. The clause is like 70. I don't get that deal, and I'll be really pissed, to be honest. I mean, we're not going through this cycle again. We finally found a defender who suits us and actually does a good job. And now getting rid of him and staying with undercooked Gatti and overcooked Danilo and some youngster to fill the void and hope it'll be as good as Bremer. Something doesn't add
Yeah,
up.
it for me, it's like, and I get it because, Shatterstar brings up the rumors of this cancellation clause still put Juve in the driver's seat? Not necessarily. Not necessarily. And I will tackle that. Alex P saying I'm good with 70 million. It's still good money. It is still good money. However, in the grand scheme of things, I still feel like this is just a sign that keeps coming back that we just are not strong sellers. It's
No,
wild to me.
it's the same team that paid 80 million for Harry Maguire.
80
I
million
mean,
pounds.
yeah,
Yeah, like
Vardio
here's
cost 100. I mean,
this is for me just not good, okay? And I understand that we're talking about Bremer leaving and everything. I'm not criticizing the team for setting up a scenario where he could leave because it appears that that's what he wants to do, okay? Which is fine. That's going to happen. But if you're renewing a player, okay, that we had locked up until 2027, okay? You had him locked till 2027. You renewed him 1 year to save 1.5 million annually over those years. That's it. 1.5 million annually. And you had to insert this clause. At that moment, I would have backed down immediately and said, okay, we're in the 23-24 season. We have him to 2027. This guy wants to move. We're better off taking offers when those teams come knocking. I'm going to give you guys, like, I've been saying it all along. You had Højlund, a guy that was built on hype and potential, sold for 70 million last season to Man U, okay? You have us buying De Ligt a few years back at close to 90. If you're telling me that Højlund should be getting the same money as the best center back currently in Serie A, I'm going to say no. And that's a poor decision for us to lock that in at that price. You've taken away any negotiation leverage you have. For reference as well, Marcus Thuram has a 95 million release clause on his name. They picked him up for free. There's no chance in hell anyone's going to pay 95 million for Marcus Thuram. But that's the point of these things, is to protect yourself as a club and start something in terms of negotiations. We haven't really started anything for negotiations. It's just set at a price that I think is low ultimately for what the market has called for. In terms of the cancellation, is it really changing a whole bunch? Does it really put Juve in this driver's seat? Sure, we could say no, but then it's a predetermined salary that kicks in. So now you're telling me, with everything we're trying to do on the roster, okay, bring salaries down, bring your annual cost down, the only way to save this thing and kick off this release clause is to take a predetermined salary that's been agreed upon with the player, his entourage, and Juventus. I'm going to guarantee you it's not a small salary, okay? So now all of a sudden you've increased that and you have a guy against his will that you're going to keep back to kick that on. That doesn't really sound like a good game plan, in my personal opinion.
well, ultimately, I mean, they still need Bremer's approval. Bremer still needs to want to leave. Otherwise, this whole discussion is redundant. Maybe he wants to stay and just, the news came out, but it doesn't mean anything about his intentions.
Yeah.
And it all can change if we have a new manager when by the end of the season, and when the players know what's going on with the club, if we're in Champions League or Europa League or whatever happens, if we win the Copa, it can change matters for players and whether they decide to stay or leave. So yeah, I think we need to pump the brakes on it. The news just angered everyone, but there's nothing happening
I
right
just
now.
want to give everybody a little bit of background to this too, because 9.2 million annually, 9.26 million annually for Bremer, okay? For the remainder of the contract, we owe him 46.3 million euros. So for context, if you're going to take 70 million from that, your capital is at 24.7 million. That's your capital gain on it. 70 million is the number everybody sticks into their head, but that's not the case. That's not what you get in terms of capital and ready to move forward. If you take away 1 year, okay, say it kicks in next season and that's when somebody comes in and buys him for that, he agrees and he leaves, then you just take 9 million, you just add 1 season off of that number, right? So it would become 9.26 less. So yeah, close to 30 million. For reference, that gets you a Calafiore, essentially, right? So this, while the amortization there, Alex P, is like I just said, take 9.2 and add that to that number, 26. So you're at 35 million capital. That's what you're going to get. It does make a difference to get the most when you're losing top assets. I can understand if you're selling a guy that, you've been trying to move for a while or maybe doesn't have the most interest, but this guy is performing consistently. He is crucial to our team. It is imperative if we make a move, in my personal opinion, to get the absolute most. And I think we shot ourselves in the foot with this one. I really do.
Oh, 100%. Just left ourselves wide open for anyone who wants to come in, and it can be anyone from the Premier League, it could be Paris Saint-Germain, whoever, but the Bremer is basically up for grabs since
Yeah.
from 2025.
Yeah. I just, I don't like it. In terms of a red flag for Juntali and whatnot, like I'd be lying if I said it doesn't add a little bit of concern there. I mean, this is the first time we've seen them deal with one of our top assets and a potential leave and having to go somewhere. I mean, I've heard,
Well, no, they had the Vlahovic Lukaku deal that went on, the saga that went on all of last summer. That was one way to deal with it. And now it's which wasn't good, by the way. So maybe that's another bad one. Maybe it's
yeah,
something to keep an eye on. Although we didn't have that at Napoli, they actually overpaid for Napoli players who left Napoli.
yeah.
That's why I think there's some key information there that we're missing. We don't know about in the contract.
And I'm hoping that there's something there that, is this missing piece that we don't have that makes sense of it all. Hopefully that comes. But right now, yeah, I mean, everybody's got eyes on this new management and Juntali. There are some that are, you know, already calling for the guy's head and whatnot. Like, calma, pump the brakes, okay? We don't need to go to that extreme just yet. But yeah, this one, I don't like it. I don't like it. On your top guys that are performing, you gotta maximize what you get because you really have to be covered. And like I said, in 1 year's time, if it was to happen this summer, 26 million, 35 million in that range for capital based on some money going towards Torino. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
not going to be
but
able to turn that around too
but
too
we
much.
might but we might get Mason Greenwood. So no, there's light at the end of the tunnel, right?
No.
No,
I am
absolutely
so vocal on not even wanting that guy associated in rumors with Juventus. It's not even funny. And it all ties into these standards, man, and just getting those back and really having your spine back, and all these little signs that are coming up. It's just like we really got to hone it in with these guys up in management. It'll be interesting to see. But talking about this Bremer thing, let's go beyond the deal, okay? And let's talk about this in terms of the management, what could be happening, what we could be seeing, okay? And everybody, reminder, take a second, hit that like, okay? Subscribe if you're new to the channel. We got to watch along later for the match. But is it kind of like this thing that right now they're willing to go as far as possible to just get that salary cleaned up? If you're looking at everybody that's set to go and set to leave, and if they put this kind of almost welcoming this thing for Bremer, as he is top 4 on the list for earners at Juventus. It's Vlahovic, it's Szczęsny. The latest rumors are that Szczęsny's not too keen on accepting a cut, although I do believe he will. Sandro, who's going to be gone, is your third highest earner on this team for wages. Bremer is your fourth highest. Chiesa is your fifth, who is also on the bubble there in terms of whether they're going to resign. Rabiot is then next, again, whether he's going to resign. Rugani is then, that puts him at 7th on the list. He's going to be accepting a reduced salary according to the latest reports. Then you have Locatelli, you have Danilo, Milik, who is probably going to be leaving, Moise Kean, who is probably going to be leaving. You have Weston McKennie, but he's down at like 3.2 for salary and everything. It's kind of like they're cleaning house financially, I think, and I think Giuntoli's
is
going
that
to
what
be
we are right now? Like
what
all financial? Is that what we are right now? Is that where Juve is at? They may be. Their hand may be forced to be that way. But
I
but maybe
think.
we should give that more attention and in the way we approach our opinions about selling players. Maybe that's what Juve is all about right now. Balancing the books and nothing more. Until it's settled, there's nothing to talk about. Anyone is up for grabs.
I think that, I mean, if I'm gonna look at this Bremer thing, it's got to be the salaries. I think right now they're in this hard cleanup mode. I think they are going to be looking at bringing in players, but I feel like it's going to be Giuntoli's guys and Giuntoli's deals. If you look at the targets, even the biggest target, Coop Mainers, if he comes in, he's talked about at a 4.5 salary. That's like just above Moise Kean, who makes 3.8. That's right around Milik's money. So, and that's giving him a salary increase. As far as these other targets, Samardzic, we could give him less than what Moise Kean gets now, and he'd be getting a substantial increase. You've got Goodmanson. I know he wants Inter apparently, but again, it's an indication that all these guys are willing to come in and we can give them increases. If I'm looking at this from the outside in, it's all about the money right now. The build, the team and everything, it feels like year zero. I think Giuntoli is going to maybe get this thing back steady where it needs to be in terms of wages and then build the team up from there. It could be a bumpy ride. It could be a bumpy
Yeah,
ride,
his
you know?
first day at the office is like, we have no money. Get us to the Champions League and back as Scudetto contenders.
Yeah.
That
It's
that's
um it's an
that's what
interesting
it
one,
feels
man.
like.
And you look at Thiago Giallo. Thiago Giallo came in. His salary is below that of Milik and Keane. He is very close to what Weston McKennie's at right now. He's actually about half a mil higher than McKennie. And they're asking McKennie
So
to take a cut. So, I mean, these signs are everywhere, right?
so the only untouchable really is Allegri at the end of the day. With all those talks of this guy's not for sale and this guy's not for sale, we heard it about everyone in the team. But the reality is, it's only Max. He's the only one that, no matter what happens, he stays.
I don't think he's staying, though.
I don't think too, but so far it kind of feels like he's here to stay. I don't know. I don't know what to expect anymore.
I
The
understand
management,
that visual, though, because that visual you just explained is there amongst the majority of the fan base. I see it daily. I see it on all our socials. I see it on the YouTube comments. It's okay, let's get rid of everybody, but Max will stay. I don't think the two are linked, to be honest, everybody. And that's kind of what I was trying to say in terms of Juntali and Mana and what they're doing right now. It seems very clear, and that is it's about the books. It's about the books. In the background, you have the fact that Chiesa, there's just, I don't think the interest is there. And I think Chiesa kind of realized that he might want to take his chances on that Euro tournament. But I wouldn't be surprised, like in the background, the tough thing to kind of link in all this is the fact that we should be getting back into Champions League. We have Club World Cup. We're ramping up all the competitions, yet it feels like our roster is going to be losing quite a few guys, right? And that's the feeling
Yeah.
that's like, what exactly are we doing? That's why I say it might get bumpy for a bit here because I'm getting the vibes it's all about the money. It's not Max and management and players. It's Juntoli cleaning house, getting his guys in at his numbers, and then working from there. It's giving him a starting point where financially he has the power to kind of move from there. That's how I'm looking at it. I honestly, I don't think it has anything to do with Max. I think it's all about the numbers right now. And it sucks when you're making decisions like that in that manner. But at the same time, we went far too long ignoring it and not biting the bullet and not doing that we just may have drug on a build that potentially could have been less painful in the long run, right? We're fortunate enough to have a project like Next Gen where these guys can come in and contribute. But going back to this Bremer deal, Coop Mainers is one of our main targets. The three names that are listed are as potential counterparts are Illing Jr., Sule, and Hoysen. For me, this whole Bremer thing now, I'm sorry, but that just made that Roma loan that much more important. And I think Hoysen, now you got to start thinking about him integrating next season. There's Hermoso available on a free. I would probably go that route, to be quite honest. And then Facundo Gonzalez may be used as a counterpart for Calafiore. Okay, Hermoso comes in on a free. Calafiore comes in. Again, that's a guy that you could give a bump on a salary and still be just fine. That's okay. Is it Bremer? No, but that's better than where we're at. Like in a grand scheme of things, I mean, we could probably maneuver through this. But the reality is it's all going to come down to the money for a bit yet. I don't know, but
Uh,
Hoysen for me is untouchable now with what's going on. Do you agree?
it has to be,
Yeah.
doesn't he? Either that, or we're planning to buy a new CB after if we sell Bremer. But to be completely honest, I don't think he'll leave. Not this summer, at least. Maybe in 2025. So I think we still have another year with him, and all the CB discussions can be postponed to next season.
Yeah. You know, and saying that Calafiori and Hermoso are too similar to be partners in a back two, they don't necessarily have to be partners. I mean, what's
Yep.
wrong with a little bit? Rugani may have to step up and get more time. If something should happen there with Brem, which is fine, and Hoysen can play, and we know that. All right, so it's not all doom and gloom, but the numbers. It's all a numbers game right now. It may suck for us to think of it that way, but that's why I really, really don't like that Bremer release clause. And again, if it was in there before when we picked him up, it kind of changes the tune a bit. Not really ultimately, because I think it still should have been higher. It always should be, if you're putting a release clause in, the club has to be protected. Period. I don't feel we are in this. There is no
No,
negotiation.
no,
70
it
would be
doesn't appear.
something that you negotiate down from after 110 release clause or something.
Yeah.
I don't like it, right? But it is a numbers game right now. It's going to be interesting to see what comes of it, everybody. Crazy,
The
crazy
question. The
times.
question is. Wait. The question is. So are we operating as a mid-table club, basically the same way Atalanta work, and balancing the books and selling your best players and just keeping it tight for as long as we can? But we have the ambitions and the expectations of a top-tier team. So it doesn't add up for me. We can't have both.
Well, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And we've all battled that this entire season. We've we had a good first half of the season. We had a strong run. We were right there. It fell off. And then all of a sudden, all these discussions came right back into play. What are the expectations? Until we figure out the resources and until we get that lined up and right, we are in a position where I feel like we weren't in previously, but we still operated like we were. Because even when the resources were good, we made a lot of mistakes because we were giving guys these inflated salaries that they didn't really deserve. And it went nuts, and you were overpaying for players left, right, and center. We were always running in the red. So
And you couldn't get rid of them because no one wanted to pay that salary. I mean, Arthur is coming back again.
exactly, exactly. So now it's like I understand we, as far as expectations at events, they're never going to go away. It's always to win. That's always the expectations. But realistically, this beast that has been created behind the scenes financially, it just it has to come into account right now. And you had to bite the bullet. You have to address it. Otherwise,
I mean,
we don't move forward. We get in the same scenario where we move one guy and it's a key guy like Bremer, and you're looking at replacements that are not going to be equal to or better than.
so
And
you
we
know
were
what I
doing
want?
that before. We were doing that before all the time. At least if you get those numbers right, and you could start move properly, you could get to a point where that's not the case. And then that you can
Well,
make some moves, you can get some capital, you can actually make a couple additions with. But right now, it's like we're working one for one.
so you know what I want? If that's the case, I want transparency. I want the management to come out and say, yeah, this is our main focus right now because we can't move forward without doing that. So the faster we do it, the better we'll get. The sooner we'll get better. So that I can get behind. Okay, tell me that you can't do anything else and you have to straighten this out and you can keep dragging what we tried to drag for the past 4 years and it has to be resolved first, then fine, okay. Now I know where we stand, now I know what we have to do. That's your promise to the fans.
Yeah.
Just bear with us and we'll get through that. But if there's no transparency and we're trying to buy high profile players and we have to sell, just to put bandages on certain positions because we can't afford a roster to compete in 4 tournaments next season, then we'll just keep circling back to the same issue.
Yeah. The thing is, everyone knows the mess that was there. And we've been complaining about players on the roster. We've been complaining about these guys' salaries for so long. I mean, something has to give. It's crucial summer right now, though, because you can't keep putting responsibility on certain parties and having to wait. It all really needs to start working. Or this shift to get the books right can go horribly wrong. I think we've been fortunate that Next Gen has been able to supply us guys that can at least help us sustain through this transition. But it feels like right now we're gonna finally bite the bullet to get to where we need to be financially. There are still some key components that we have to wait and see. Sponsorships, new sponsorships. Champions League qualification is a must, and we're going to get to Lazio Juve today because it is going to be very, very important, and it's going to have major implications here at the top of the table there. If you look at just this whole thing with Bremer and everything, and people talking like, okay, now we've become this stepping stone or whatnot. Players will always, it's kind of going to be this thing. Like, I feel like, and we've been saying this for a couple seasons now, like the Italian players seem to have more of that allure to the big clubs in Italy than the guys that aren't. It just kind of feels that way. But if a project that's already established, that's already like competing on all fronts, comes in during this time, whether we like it or not, it is going to be hard to keep those guys. That's just a reality until you get to, you know, winning.
Look, this is the generation of players we have today around the world. Everyone wants titles. Everyone wants to win it as fast as possible, and a successful project is just better for young players. They choose that. When we were at our peak, we had players sign for Juve solely to just have trophies to their name and experience some, glory. Let's call it that way. But we knew they weren't up to the level. So that's what players are today. I mean, we gotta come to terms with that. If we don't start winning, if we don't start gathering trophies, yeah, players will want to leave. We don't have like those Di Natales who can go their entire career without winning anything and still be happy at their clubs. That's gone. And so yeah, either we make the shift and actually start winning something, which is why I think the Coppa Italia is super important this season because Scudetto is off the table.
Yeah.
And gotta give those players some sense of just winner mentality and not being always the loser.
Yeah, it's gonna be a grind. It's gonna be a grind, but the business, there's curveballs all the time too. Because if you're looking at our players,
Yeah,
I mean, the
absolutely.
report was out there. I think it was Romeo talking about it, and he said the fact of the matter was there was only one team interested in Vlahovic last season. He said Chiesa had teams interested, and Juve was not ready at that point. I think that interest has dwindled significantly this season for him. So it's constantly this evolving thing. And now all of a sudden you have Bremer. I remember saying at one point earlier in the season on this show that I had this feeling one of Vlahovic, Chiesa, or Bremer was going to move at the end of this season. I remember saying that. I had those vibes. I mean, Bremer's probably the guy that has the interest. Right now, what we're hearing, though, is that it's only Manchester United so far. And I don't think that there's a big willingness for him to move to Man U. So let's see what happens. I just don't like them setting up that release clause. All right. Now, in
Yeah,
terms
let's
of,
move
and we
on.
will get to this question, Mark, in terms of the Coppa Italia and how people feel, but we got to get to Lazio here. And this one today is going to be tough. It's going to be tough. You've got
Oh,
Tudor
hate it.
coming in. He is no doubt going to have a stimulus with this team. All right. And like the guy leads his teams in a very aggressive fashion. It's nothing less than you would expect from Igor Tudor.
Yeah.
3-4-2-1, very, very similar shape. And this almost sets the tone for a problem for Juventus because every single time we see a team line up in that fashion, our flanks get taken away and it creates problems. We have to go through the middle. We look at Juve's lineup that they're set to play today, and obviously this one, the one name on there that really set the tone for fans' feelings and raising a lot of question marks is De Sciglio. But the projected lineup, according to Romeo Gresti for Juventus, is this, and it is Szczesny obviously in goal, Danilo, Bremer, Rugani, De Sciglio, Miretti, Locatelli, Rabiot, Cambiasso, Keane, Chiesa. I see everything pointing and everyone talking about a 4-3-3. I can easily see a 3-5-2 here. So
Yeah.
it really comes down to what happens with Cambiasso. You and I talked about it and like, is it a 4-3-3? Who knows until we get out there. It really comes down to what he wants to do with Cambiasso, but could easily be a 3-5-2. I think the kicker in there is we were kind of surprised. No McKennie. So he's opted for Miretti. So he is looking for offense out of that middle. He's looking for something there. But De Sciglio, sadly, Skanga might beat me in that bet today because
And
he's just got to get 52 minutes from and he passes Paul Pogba in the 23-24 season for minutes played. But
really, because I'd put money on him being injured by the 30th minute and will not hear from him again
well,
this
there you
season.
go. There you go. I mean, that could happen. It easily could happen. But, you know, yeah, it's almost like he just couldn't wait to kind of get this guy in there or whatnot. But your thoughts on this lineup? Do you see the 4-3-3? You kind of see the 3-5-2. What do you think about it going into this game? The DeShilio thing, I know you're going to comment on. Go ahead, man. Fire away with your thoughts on this lineup. Everybody in the chat, fire away.
I don't know. Is it a 4-3-3? I mean, we have three CBs in there. The Deshino is going to push a bit higher up, so he's going to be a wing back. Cambiaso on the other side. Chiesa will stay next to the touchline as he always does. And we have Kane in the center, so has changed really. I don't know why McKennie isn't playing. If someone knows, then fill us in. Maybe he's a bit injured or tired. I don't know from the internationals. But yeah, the lineup kind of seems like a 3-5-2. I don't see anything different. We'll have to see on the pitch the roles, what they're tasked with doing when it's basically Danilo and how he's going to play. If he's going to play as a right back, we'll see him, pushing forward a lot more and playing on the touchline. But De Chilio, the never-ending De Chilio, the Lord, our Lord. Uh, I don't know. Does anyone else get that treatment of coming back from whatever injury and just straight into the lineup as if we don't have any other players? And what worries me the most is, I mean, we know how much Max likes Kostic, and we know how much he likes Deschilio. And my worry is that Cambiaso is the one who will pay the price, and when we have a full roster, we'll see Deschilio on the right and Kostic on the left, and that spells doom for Juve. No, for me. So yeah, I'm excited. I don't know. I'm not excited at all. Maybe the Shiryu will shut me up, but I doubt he would.
I
So yeah, I hate playing at the Olympico away and seeing that lineup. I feel even less confident.
I just like I'm looking at this and it's strange. I mean, Illing Jr. bags a couple goals for the England younger lads there, whatever, but you were just getting back into him over Kostic. And if this does play out in a 3-5-2, play the guy. Play the guy again. Go to him now after he bagged a couple goals. I don't care who the hell he was playing against. He bagged a couple goals. He's going to be feeling good. Let's go with it. You were already going to it from it, and now DeShilio immediately back in. You've got if even if it is a 4-3-3, you've got options that could play up top rather than Cambiaso. And you can use Cambiaso as a fullback, where he actually plays all the time. You can use him on the left side or the right side. I gotta say, it's very, very strange. It's a very, very
Oh,
strange and it's a bold decision. In
but it's not the
um,
first time. It
no,
always
of course
happens
it
with the
isn't.
Shilio.
I I I don't know. Like I don't
Only
get it.
only
I know Mark
Max
1
can
with the
answer that.
resurrection of Decilio coincides with Easter. uh,
Well, maybe it
um,
does.
and Mark saying, exactly, he's starting to get his legs and confidence. It's a strange, strange call for me, and it's a bold one, but I I wouldn't
What is
do
he
it.
getting rewarded for? I mean, only Max can actually answer this question and maybe make some sense out of it. But on the surface, it looks like just a knee jerk reaction to one of his favorite players coming back from injury.
Like on the Calcio review, Lou and I had Gianni from Interviews Pod there, and he said like just from his perspective, maybe it's Allegri looking and not. This was at the time we didn't know about Deschilio. Nobody would have thought Deschilio gets a starting call in this game. But he was just saying, maybe with some of these guys that the fan base is calling, he was from the outside looking in. They went through something similar with Inzaghi early on when he came, and he was sticking with the same guys over and over and over and over and over, just to send a message to management. These guys aren't good enough. The alternatives aren't good enough, etc. Whatnot. But like, we got to be past that point with Max. Like, there's no message he's sending. Like, it can't be that. It,
No, I don't think that's the same case.
yeah. Like, I can't say that that's really what he's doing. But I also have heard so much, especially going back to last summer, about what was going to happen roster wise and what the management was going to do. And they were going to say, you're going to get who you get. And it's kind of like a deal with it scenario. And maybe this is him hitting back partially because of all the criticisms, because of everything. Like, I can't really make sense of it, And saying Yilling Jr. in the press conference has played a lot this season compared to Pogba,
Yeah.
and DeShilio, he has.
Yeah.
But in the grand scheme of things, no. It's a bold call in a big, big game. We have time, a lot of time for Storm the Barn. We're going to get to a lot of things, but let's go through key numbers in this game, and then we're going to get the prediction out of the way, everybody, okay? This is a big one. We got to get the job done. Juve have defeated Lazio 26 times in Serie A since the 04-05 season. Only Milan with 28 versus Cagliari and Juventus with 27 over Udinese have secured more wins against a single opponent. All right, in the Italian top flight since then. A win on Saturday, a win today sees Juventus secure a league double over Lazio for the first time since 2018-19. Wouldn't have thought that. A win, we'll see. A win on Saturday, we'll see. That one's not true. I don't know where they're pulling that one. A loss on Saturday will extend Lazio's losing streak at home in Serie A to 4 games, their longest such run since 1961. And, of course, we have what everybody keeps thinking about. Juve has secured 7 points in their last 8 games. Take that all into consideration. Take the Lord's appearance into consideration. Prediction time. You guys know the drill. Final score, 2 tiebreakers. Omer, what are you feeling, my friend?
It's becoming harder and harder to bet on us to win. I don't know, like, big, 100% honest, yeah, that's a loss. I mean, Olympico away, we don't do well at that stadium anyway when we're on form. And now they have like the backwind of just a new manager, a new attitude, and got rid of Sari. There's always like a bit of a push when you have a new manager for the first couple of games. And so it doesn't feel like a win. No, it just doesn't. I don't know. We don't have any strikers on the bench. The Shilo is starting. I mean, that's the apocalypse, basically. So, yeah, I'm going with a 2-1 loss.
Oh, okay. All right. Tiebreakers.
The Shilo to score an own goal. I,
Oh,
no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Tiebreakers. I don't know. We start the first half, and the Shilio doesn't end the first half. Like, he'll
okay.
get injured at some point. I hope he doesn't, but yeah. Don't know if it's coming off like that, but I'm not optimistic. Am I sounding optimistic?
Oh, it's coming off. It's coming off like that. It's coming off
Yeah.
like that. Oh man. So we got some tight wins kind of in there. Look at Animesh there. I love it. I love it. Okay, 4-3 for Juve. DeShilio with the 4th goal winner. Take us back to the 1 goal he did score for Juventus when he won it for us against Roma. Hopefully that's the case. I think this game's got a draw written all over it. I really want to say Juve wins, but I have question marks around the lineup. I have question marks around this team's mentality, this frame of mind over this stretch. I have concerns about Tudor and the stimulus that they're going to get hit with and the fact of how they're lining up, giving us problems. I have question marks with Miretti being in there. I can understand the call for Miretti in there. I think McKennie's got to be on the pitch, though, and I understand that means calling for Rabiot to sit. Maybe you do that unless you actually play Cambiasso over for DeShilio and still utilize McKennie out on one of the flanks if we're sticking with a 3-5-2. if we're going 4-3-3, would you not want another offensive player like an Illing Jr., a Yildiz up top? I have too many question marks around this one. I'm going to say a draw. I think maybe a 1-1 draw is what I'm going to go with. I hope they prove me wrong and they pull out the victory because we need it. We need it bad. You're looking at some of the matchups that are in Serie A right now. Atalanta, I think, was beaten up on Napoli.
Another
if I was not
minus
mistaken,
goal.
it was 3-0 at so it's ended at 3-0. So Atalanta will be on 50 points now. Actually, I think that was their 50th because they had a game postponed. So they're on 50 points now, a game in hand. You're going to have Bologna that's set to face Salernitana. That will be should be a 3 points there for them. That's going to take them to 57 points. All right. Roma is set to face off against Lecce away from home. Expecting Roma to get the job done there. That will take Roma to 54 points. So the wins have to start coming. And there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They just have to start coming. Period.
Yeah, we needed to get to that point of the season with like an 8 to 10 point gap.
Yeah.
Because
It's
now the pressure is mounting and we have a tough run of games. We have a derby coming up soon. We have Fiorentina. We have Lazio again, and then Lazio again. I mean, yeah, it doesn't look good.
Yeah, we were
It
on
doesn't.
59 points. Sorry, we're on 59. So, like I said, Bologna could be at 57 after their match today. Roma would be at 54 with victories there. Atalanta's at 50. They have a game in hand. It's getting tighter and tighter. You got to find ways to win here for Juventus. I didn't even get to tiebreakers, you guys, but 1-1 draw. I will give Chiesa a goal today. He needs to really shift things for us. He just really, really does. Has to happen. Cambiasso has to have a big game for us today. Miretti, he's got to impact this game. If you're sitting the guy with 9 assists to his name in all competitions for this team today, you have to find a way to impact this game. The excuses on decision making, all that shit has to get thrown out the window. You have to find a way to impact this game out of the middle. It's going to be crucial for us today. Rabiot needs to have the game that of a leader. Okay? Being a vice captain, I want to see it. I want to see it today. Locatelli, let's go.
Keane?
What?
What do you expect from Keane today?
I expect him to be the physical guy. Obviously, I need him to be pushing and challenging everything. Just get the legs going. He's just got to get the legs going. He's got to find a way. But Chiesa's got to play off of that. I need Keane to be the guy that uses his physicality, uses his pace, and creates some havoc. And I need Chiesa to stop drifting away from our fucking strikers. He needs to get involved. He needs to find the lanes, and he needs to stick a little more central. Who knows what the hell's going to happen on that side with Deschilio there, but if the overlaps are there that can help Chiesa, sure. But we need these guys to get it together. Today's a big one. We are going to get to storm the barn.
Why is Deschilio on the left and Cambiasso on the right? Why not the other way around?
Well, let's see what happens. Maybe that is what goes down. It could very well be because Deschilio has played everywhere for Max. He could play left or right, so maybe that is the case, and that would make a lot of sense. We're going to get Storm the Barn. You guys, like the video. You know, I'm going to start doing them in blanks, okay, because I'm getting really, really pissed off, okay? But the news, has it soured anybody on this giveaway kit for the new away? Does anybody in the chat want this kit? Is there anybody that's still not soured on it that actually wants this Bremer kit? Okay? Let me know. Because we can give this thing away today. All right? Let's try and kick up some positives there. You got Adam saying me. Forza Juve, I take it. Okay, that's good. We're going to have a little fun in a bit. I'm going to give this kid away. So Calvin Jones says, sure. Okay. Okay. So there are still some that would like this. We're going to give it away today. Okay. Now, storm the barn, fire away. Fire away with some questions, but we're going to kick things off with, and I see one in there, but we're going to kick things off with Omer first. Is there anything we haven't tackled, maybe you wanted to get to? There is something I wanted to talk to. It's not really a question. It kind of has a question to it, but Omer, do you have anything first?
Yes. So, do you feel like the fact that we're playing once a week this season has any effect on injuries, or do you feel like we're just as injured as last season?
Sorry, go ahead. My thing cut out.
Again,
Sorry, man.
do you think we're as injured as we were last season, or the one match a week had a positive effect? Because honestly, I don't feel like it. I feel like we lose a lot of players even playing once a week.
Yeah. I feel like muscular things are down significantly. Because when we do lose guys, it's been like a dislocated shoulder, a broken toe, a knock, lots of knocks in training. So I feel like the muscular side of things actually is down, but it's hard to gauge per capita because we're in only the one comp, right? But I do feel like muscular problems are down. We're not getting the, oh, he was training, or like, remember we were getting muscular problems in warm-ups, man. Like warm-ups. So I feel like the muscular thing's down, but it's hard to gauge. It's really hard to
Yes.
gauge.
So do you feel like we actually use the one game a week to our advantage, or we dropped that ball and didn't actually, benefited from it?
I feel like I said all along, like it would be an advantage for preparation, and obviously keeping them fit. So I would say that we didn't really utilize the advantage from a preparation standpoint from match to match. That's where I think the biggest issue was, more so than injuries. What do you think?
I don't know. He was talking about last season that they don't have time to train with all the matches because all the traveling and stuff. They don't get a lot of time to work to actually work on new patterns of play and stuff. So this year we had like a week between matches. We rarely had a midweek match. Yeah, I don't feel like we used it. I feel like we fumbled it and just played along, and whatever happened happened. I don't feel like we used it to our advantage in any
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. It's it, it, it's tough. It's tough. And Animesh has a good point here that losing two starters to suspension who you were counting on didn't help. Um, Especially like because Pogba, we had question marks around his body holding up and everything, but definitely the Fajoli one really really hurt in my opinion, a lot, especially when that was like, and what both of those guys bring was missing so much. So even when you want to shit on us for preparation in one match a week, you could prepare, but you couldn't replace, unfortunately. And I believe that was tried. It's the way it is. It's the way it is. Um, I'm going to get to this Storm the Barn, the first one that was up there from Mark. But first, I just want to bring up something that unfortunately is going to be fairly quiet and shouldn't be, but it won't be a surprise to anybody. And that was the fact that it was that Juventus, essentially for all the members that were involved in fictitious orders to agents, okay, were all acquitted in that investigation. There was absolutely no wrongdoing, okay? And the report was that today, at the end of the investigations, it was ascertained that there was no fictitious warrant, no agent was convicted, and consequently, there is no responsibility attributable to the Juventus managers. The latter, however, had already reached a plea agreement in the sporting trial because this investigation was included in the second part of the investigation into salary manipulation. So you're going to have absolute fucking crickets on this. All right. And, you know, there was a lot of the fan base. I ended up shifting because it was just time to just move on and get out. But for all of those that fought the fight and said, no, don't give in and whatever, and this team needs to push back and do all that, there's kind of one of these instances, where you could be right. But in the grand scheme of things, too, the financials of keeping all that shit afloat and keep fighting and keep going it when the thing that matters the most is also getting affected, and that's what's going on the pitch, and you need to correct that. It was a tough spot for the club to be in. I understand what they did. But when shit like this comes out, like, don't be the nice guy about it. Sometimes make a statement. Fight the fight. Let them know. You know what I mean? Like, it pisses me off. It pisses me
Well,
off, man.
what's annoying about that is that we just got the punishment without getting the verdict, without having the proper investigation, and after everything is said and done, get the punishment. We first got punished, then we'll have to prove, and that's where the FIGC really fucked up.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like it bothers them anyway, and no one's talking about it, like you said, cricket. So yeah, I kind of assumed it will happen sooner or later. When everything is said and done, we'll know that we actually didn't do some of the stuff they said, but we already got punished. No one's giving us our points back. No one's giving us our Champions League spot back. So yeah, what's left besides being angry?
Yeah. It, it sucks. It really, really does suck, you
Takes
guys.
the fun out of it. Takes the fun out of football in general.
Yeah, and we do have Forza Inter that did say, see, you could see it there. See, Berto, I told you guys should not have taken the deal. He did say at the time. I get it, like we did have to move on. And a mesh with all the day salutes there. Yeah, it sucks, you guys. It really, really does. But I wanted to just make sure we spoke about it because it's going to get crickets out there, but it's just another instance in a long list, unfortunately, of bullshit that we got to deal with, okay? And we spoke about the dossiers there on the target on Agnelli that ended up seeing Juventus highlighted in order to get at him and stuff. It's just infuriating. And after going through all that last season, it's the last thing we want to bring up and go through, but it's another instance and evidence of amici di nessuno, everybody. All right. Mark, are the days of players being loyal to a club done? Is there an example of a loyal player anywhere in Europe on any club? That DNA mentality is gone. We have to adjust as fans. Sad, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gone completely, but it's definitely heading there. I mean, yeah, we can say Thomas Muller on Bayern, and I don't know, players don't seem to leave Man City unless the club sells them. I don't know if I would call it loyalty. But there are a few examples here and there, but far less than we had, like 10 years ago, even 15 years ago. And yeah, the hunt for money is just never ending, and it keeps increasing. So the more money we have, the less loyalty we'll see.
Yeah. It's it is. It's a sign of the times. Everybody's playing for their livelihoods, the finances, there's a set group of clubs everybody kind of is aiming to make, but ultimately it is money, and money is driving everything. And yeah, it feels like gone are the days of the loyalty. We might see some of that with, like, I going back to what I was saying about the Italians. You might see it from them, but it's tough. It
Well,
feels like even from a club standpoint, though, it's very, very different. And
yeah.
so it's kind of crucial to not put this all on players, because the vibes were a lot different back then. In 90s when I started following, like, it just had different vibes to it. very much so through the 2000s.
Yeah,
Then you get to
we
the
had
2010s. It started to really shift, I think, 2010s. But yeah, it had different feeling even from the club's perspective. You know, it's it's just different. It's just all different.
yeah. So Juve polls, yeah, I agree. It's all football is heading there. No? It's not only a Juve issue, and it's easy to call it loyalty when the club is successful. And loyalty is measured when the chips are down and things are not going your way. That's why Chiellini became the man he was, because he went through that as a youngster. Maybe Miretti and Fagioli and all those guys, 5 years from now, will be those loyal guys after, just being dragged through the mud basically with Juve
Yeah,
since they started playing. But it doesn't feel like it's going in the direction of new legends and just icons for clubs to stay there for 10 years, 15 years. As long as the club is successful, we'll see that. But for dying clubs, I don't know if we'll see anyone for Juve being that in the near future.
we need to get back, competing on all fronts, doing so as contenders, and the loyalty will ramp up. It's just a product
Yeah,
of the situation. And I mean,
yeah,
again, from the club's point of view as well,
yeah.
it's
If I had to put
we're cleaning,
money,
we're looking at things financially too, and it's
yeah,
also taken away.
it's
Like we
not only
did
from the
that.
players.
Yeah,
It,
like we
it
did
doesn't
that
only
with
stem from the
Dybala
players.
too. I mean, there was not really any loyalty from the club's point of view. Offered him money, he
Yeah,
didn't accept, and everything was thrown out the window because it's a business. It's also a business. It's it's
yeah,
tough. It's just different. Back then, though, you had guys that were willing to play for. It wasn't so much about the money. You had guys that wanted to stay at Juve so bad, and the question is why? Why? Because
huh?
you know they went through, some of those guys went through like dark times and still wanted to remain at Juventus. Why? What is different? What is so different? For me, I still go back to it starts at the top. It's not the same from the top. Everything that those guys preached through those dark days was family. I'm not getting those vibes. I'm not getting those vibes. You don't
I don't
have
think.
to have Agnelli involved to have that family feel. Right now, from the top, I talked about it a lot. It's setting standards. The it doesn't have these vibes other than these guys are temps at the top for Juventus. I get those vibes. And you can't have disarray at the very top and expect stability at the bottom. It just doesn't work that way. So until these guys maneuver through windows and seasons together and build their culture and kind of forge that, it's going to feel that way. It is, you know?
Yeah, it wouldn't get any better.
Who do you think will step up today and the rest of the season? I'm hoping it's Fede because we need it.
It has to be
I'm
him.
hoping it's Chiesa. Who do I
Has to
think
be.
is going to do it though? Cambiaso. I think Cambiaso is going to be my call.
Yeah, hopefully.
Alex Juve top 5 Champions League. Max stays or goes. I believe there's a change coming. I believe it's coming. I don't think
Yeah,
I don't think the remaining results change it. To be honest, I don't think it's gonna happen. Omer,
yeah, we've talked about it a lot. I feel like a change is coming no matter what. Um, Also from Allegri's side, I think he had enough. I don't think he have the energy anymore because being around Juve right now takes a lot of your energy. But we can never know.
yeah,
I wouldn't be
Forza Inter, if
surprised
you
if he
were
stays.
Max, would you give up the 18 mil so random internet people could be happy? You know what's funny about this question is that I actually did have people message me on WhatsApp and whatnot and say, why won't this guy resign? And I said, I can think of 13 million reasons why, because that's what he gets clean, essentially. No chance. Why would he walk away? Why would he resign? And I mean, it's to expect that is too much, in my opinion. Expecting him to resign, it's never going to happen. But the amount of people that throw that out there, and it's like he should just resign, walk away. No, it's not
Well,
going to happen.
how many managers have resigned from Juve?
I'll tell you right now, if I'm in his shoes, there's no way I'm resigning. Also, because of the perception, the look, like the way it goes down, there's a lot there to factor in besides the money as well. But ultimately, why does he need to, even if it's not going well, even of all that, and for everybody that's going to tell me, oh, I would resign or whatnot because I'm not doing the job? No, that's nonsense. You would not turn down the money that you're entitled to from that contract, because what happens to you post this actually is affected by it. So I can understand a guy not resigning.
Yeah, I mean his stock is down.
Yeah.
What top club would take him? Finishing at Juve like that after those 3 bad years. No Real Madrid or Bayern or Liverpool will come knocking for Max. He's kind of renowned for it in the football world today as this defensive coach who wins 1-0, and that's not what clubs are looking for right now.
Yeah. We
So
got
maybe he wants
Juve
to work on
Pulse.
his reputation.
Politically correct club, weak modern club, but blind one. Cultureless. Alex, even going back to what I was talking about, culture, family feel. No family feel has been gone since CR7 landed in the club. You know what's interesting about that statement from Alex Juve is that I have two instances of ex players saying that to people I'm in contact with. Two ex players saying that had a huge impact on a shift in behind the scenes. And it was treatment from upper management, had nothing to do with the coach. Upper management, both guys said the same thing. The treatment was they called it, one called it absurd towards him versus the others from the upper management guys. It was crazy. You could see hints of it too. After I saw that, when you watch All or Nothing, you can actually see hints of it. It's interesting. It's interesting. Little small things you could pick up on. Swati, latest updates on Samardzic. Would you back him in Champions League and Club World Cup matches? The latest updates. Well, I heard that he's still in the top three for the mix. It's Coop Mainers, Ferguson, Samardzic. There's still this thing clinging behind the scenes. I think there was a refusal or a denial, excuse me. I think there was a denial in terms of Juve having terms with his father, agent. But I don't think it's true. I think Juve did have terms agreed. I think they're going to go back to Samardzic this summer. I really do, but there's hasn't been much for updates on Samardzic, other than he's still one of the 25 midfielders that we apparently are targeting for the summer. So it's a long list, everybody. A long list. Mark one. We'll play 2 games against Lazio in a couple of days. If we had to lose one and win the other, which one would it be? The Coppa Italia or the Serie A game? My choice would be the Serie A game. To lose one, I would making Champions League is crucial. If I had to lose one, I'd lose the first leg of a 2-leg battle. I would, because Serie A is crucial for Champions League.
Maybe
Omer?
I'm the other way around. I feel like lost points in the league can still be recovered, and some of those teams still have to play against each other. Losing the first match at home and then going away to Lazio and trying to win it I don't feel like we have that in us, and I really, really want that title. I think the guys really need a title, something to be proud of.
I want the trophy too, but if we win the Coppa Italia and don't get into Champions League, I'd be more pissed.
Yeah, I would be pissed. I just think that would be one of the biggest downfalls ever. Like being 1 point off the top in January and then falling out of the Champions League with 5 spots. That would be a major downfall. Even with Max, I'm not going to bet that would happen.
Yeah. We got a couple final ones here. Then we're going to give a kit away, you guys. We're going to get the positivity ramped up because everybody's feeling pretty tough going into this game. But Mark 1, what are your thoughts about Arthur? If no club will be interested in him for next season, it is about 4.5 million per year. Man, honestly,
I think the same thing
remember
will
last
happen.
summer? Last summer, the rumors were there about extending the contract to bring the salary down and then helping facilitate the sale. It's a risky move, but it might be something that has to get done just to get a final sale across the board. Otherwise, it's just loans over and over and over, or you bite the bullet and eat a chunk of that to get the sale and cover a portion of the salary over the terms. They got to find a solution, though. They got to
Yeah,
find a solution.
the only interested club right now is Benfica. That's what the rumors say, at least. But I feel like it will be kind of the same. I don't think they're going to buy him. I think they're going to loan him and we'll pay some of the salary, exactly like what happened with Fiorentina. And he's been relatively good with Fiorentina and then still won't sign him. I think that's what we'll see till his contract runs out. Just loan and we pay half the salary and that's it. The last thing I want to hear is, by August that Arthur is our new signing for the midfield this summer and we'll just keep him.
Yeah,
But I'm not ruling it out.
it's gonna be, man. It's gonna be interesting. Gonna be interesting. We got time. A couple more here for you. Would you rather sell Miretti or Nonge? Nonge has been talked about as the same level talent as Hoyson and Yildiz. Miretti has been disappointing too many times for me. You have to sell one of these. Who are you selling? We haven't seen enough of Nonge in the first flight to really.
Yeah, I can't make a judgment on Nons. What have we seen? Like, I don't know, 15 minutes of him, 20 minutes of him playing max, and one of them was a red card. Was involved in a red card in a loss to Napoli. Not a red card, a penalty for Napoli. So I don't want to make a judgment based on that.
Yeah,
Um, but Miretti, I get what he's saying. Miretti is an issue. I mean, what does he do? What does he bring to the table? Does he bring assists? Well, he doesn't. Does he bring goals? He has one this season. Is he good defensively? Yeah, not that much. I don't know. Maybe it's the pairing. Maybe it's the position he plays. Maybe it's the formation. I have no idea. But so far, he hasn't brought anything new to the table. And
yeah.
that's an issue.
I um
I
I, I
expected more from him,
I'm
at least
still
in terms of
feeling like
numbers.
a loan for Miretti before ultimately,
Oh,
making cut the ties or whatever. But I can't make a decision on this between the two just because I simply haven't seen enough of Nonge to really say that. And I don't even want to throw Miretti completely away at this point. But I've always
no, but the
said,
question was, who do you sell? If we have an option to loan him to a Serie A club, yeah, definitely go for that.
yeah, if I had to sell between the two though, like I still feel like Miretti can turn it around. It's not
He can
happening
also
for us when, you know.
he can also generate more money from his sale compared to
Yeah, and
Nantes
I
right
have
now.
said I was gonna finish off by saying I've come to the point if the counterpart is a guy I'd really want, then I'd be okay with it, and I'd be okay with Miretti being used. Okay, so
Give him to
yeah,
Bologna for Calafiori, and I'm fine.
it is what it is. So there are those of you that are still cool with the Bremer kit. Okay, this year's away, lovely kit, white, pink striping. We're going to give it away right now, okay? Enough fucking around. We're going to ramp things up. We're going to get the positivity up because we got to get the win today, okay? So let's get things rolling. Get the likes up, all right? Get the likes up. Omer, how should we give this kid away? Should we come up with a trivia question? Should we... What do you think?
The trivia question is interesting. Trivia question is an interesting one. But I
Do you
need to
want me to
think
come
on.
up with a trivia question?
Yeah, why not? I think we can. Yeah, I can probably pull something out.
Do you want to pull
Um,
one out? Okay, I'll let you pull it out. I'll let you pull out the
okay, let's make it this way. The How do you want it to be? About statistics? About
You
players?
are in
Random
total
players?
control of this one.
Am I in? I'm in control. Okay. Uh, Let me just pull out my stats here. See if there's anything interesting.
While
'Cause I
Omer comes up with this, okay, everybody, get ready. Okay, and don't worry. I see, do it random, whatever. We're going to do a trivia thing here. I have another one. I have the Cambiaso Black third kit this year. That's going to be my final of the 10 kit giveaway. Okay, that is going to be my final. But I still have a couple more from a sponsor coming up that's going to link up with us. So you guys are going to get extra kit giveaways before we finish out this season. All right. So always showing love to you guys because you guys are the absolute best. The AJC Army is second to none. Thank you for all the continued support. All right. And don't worry, I see that question in there. I will get to it. I will get to it.
Okay, I
I
have
will
a
get to it.
question. I don't know if it's an easy one or a hard one. Um, let's go for it. In 2003, Juventus were very interested in Cristiano Ronaldo, a youngster back then, and they wanted to buy him. They offered money plus a player. Who was that player?
Wow. What? Where did you both? I was
Yeah,
reading the comments here. Who was it? What in what year?
2003.
Wow. Okay, so we got one guess. Salas.
Mm-hmm.
You have Davids. You have Torricelli. Del Piero.
Mm-hmm.
Carini. Nedved. Salas.
Okay, I tell you what, we have a winner. One of those answers is true. Tell me when you want me to say it.
Well, we're gonna do it to the first one that answered correctly.
Well, then go to the first comment because he was right.
Animesh.
Yeah. Marcelo
Animesh.
Salas refused to move to Benfica, and that's why Ronaldo didn't go to Juve in 2003.
There you go. There you go. Animesh. Animesh receiving a kit. Actually, Animesh, I got to message you about that because I haven't heard whether or not that has actually received. There's a long distance there between us. I'm not sure if it has or not, but Animesh already got one kit. Give it to the second one. Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
So the second one
So the
was
second one with Salas is right here.
Mustafa Ali Chotza. Yeah.
You have won yourself this season's away Bremer kit. Reach out to us on our socials, okay, and DM us, and we will hook you up and ship that one out, all right? Fantastic, fantastic. Well played, Animesh. Well played, all right? And all over that question, nailing it, nailing it. And then, like I said, there's another one. That's the next one up for grabs, okay? We got the Cambiaso and a couple more coming, all right? So happy to be able to turn these things over to you guys. Great pull there, Omer. My word. Look at that. Props coming in there for Sweareed on that. There you go. And Salas there. The next one, we'll figure out a fun way to give it away, but I like that we can give it away to you guys that show up on the lives, that are always in here, in the trenches with us, all right? And it's not to say that the others, we still show love to the others through all the socials, because not everybody can make it through at these times, but it's always nice to give them away right here live. You guys, this game today, simply put, we have to get a win. I know how everybody's feeling about it. You see in the predictions and everything. Get the job done. I'm hoping we are surprised, okay, and get an absolute dusting of Lazio today. But it's going to be very, very difficult, all right? And Tony, you're the man. You're the man, Trim, all right? Love it. Appreciate it. It's going to be tough today. And Tudor, God, man, I always loved him. Always loved him as a Juve player. Don't piss me off today, Tudor. Okay, don't piss me off. Don't piss me off.
Yeah.
He was kind of, when you start talking about guys like that too, I always love talking about like kind of like unsung. And you shouldn't say heroes. Nothing necessarily having to be heroic about them, but like a lot of like unsung, underappreciated players probably throughout the time of Juve. Kind of what are the names that immediately pop out to your mind when we start talking about like underappreciated maybe back in the day? Like,
He played with some amazing defenders, so we never really got that, first team spot. Just nailed it. But he, stood up against Giuliano and Montero and
yeah,
Turam and all those guys, so it was really hard. But he did manage to, make an impact and make us remember him because of the attitude and maybe what we're lacking today. To
yeah,
say that he was like a phenomenal defender, no, there were a lot better defenders, but his mentality covered up for it
he was
and
a
made him a better
tough,
player.
tough,
Yeah,
tough guy,
but
man. Like he was
yeah,
just
and one
a,
goal, one very memorable goal.
oh yeah, he was
Yeah,
a
I remember
unit,
seeing it
man.
live.
That guy was a unit. Tudor was a unit. He's definitely comes to mind when I talk about, some unsung guys because yeah, when he had to come in, he had big shoes to fill, but he always did so in an admirable way. And I always appreciate it. Torricelli coming in here. Pesotto is a huge one for me. I have a Pesotto jersey. Absolutely love it. I've always loved Pesotto. And there's a guy that talk about no flash, talk about nothing like that to his game, whatever, but just always gave you everything he had. Birindelli.
Him and
Birindelli.
Birandelli, yeah, those were the
He
two
goes
guys.
so far under the radar. People had no idea he stayed with us through that 2006 and everything. Like this guy was one of the biggest unsung heroes
Well,
for
you
Juventus was
remember,
Birindelli.
you must remember what happened with Pesotto when Calciopoli happened.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, he tried to kill himself. He jumped out of a window. I remember some of the players flying back to Italy from Germany because of that, but luckily he survived and is still with us today. So yeah, he really loved Juve. That's how much he loved Juve.
yeah. And Pepe is one for Mark One, an unsung hero. Man, he has been so vocal over the past couple months about Juventus, and he's speaking a lot about that specific group of players. Unsung guys, not the flashy, not the key guys, but Juve always being built upon a strong group of these types of players. Delivio, absolutely one. Absolutely one as well. Delivio. Um,
And all of
Camoranesi
them are.
was
I
Camoranesi was
like
so
Mark.
good technically, but he kind of falls in line with kind of that too because he didn't get such high levels of praise, but he was just unbelievable, man, unbelievable. But yeah, getting back to our roots,
Well,
get these
none of them were
guys.
youngsters. That's
Yeah,
that's the thing.
it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
It's always nice talking about those guys and showing some love to them because you run out of things to say about all the key guys, and all these huge names that we've been so fortunate to have. Um, throughout Juve's history and whatnot. But yeah, it's cool to shine a light on these guys. And Juve, yeah, we gotta start seriously looking, and this plays in line with the standards, the characters that we bring in. That is exactly why I won't tolerate being associated with a link like Mason Greenwood. I won't stand for it. It has
Why, are
nothing
we
to
looking for trouble? Are we looking for bad
it,
press? It's
and you
not
know
because
what?
he's a bad player or anything. It's just, why do we need that attention right now?
Yeah, and it goes even beyond that, but it's just like second chances and all this, and it just, for me, it's plain and simple. It's establishing the standards at the club that we are not second chance FC. You establish the fact that you want guys that are the characters and the men that we need to move forward on. Whether you believe in, everything that's said kind of about Greenwood and painting a picture that maybe is overboard. I don't want to get into any of that. I'm just saying that what happened will, in fact, no doubt, leave a stain on his name. It will. There's no two ways about it. Juve doesn't need that. And Juve shouldn't even entertain it. That's kind of my point. All right. You can't talk about a team with that's already tipping the scale on young, lack of leadership that is evident and whatnot, and then already dealing with gambling, doping this season, and entertain this. That should be completely against the standards that we set at Juventus. I said it when the Fagioli news broke out, and I stand firm. If this was a Juventus built to the standards that I grew up with, that I knew, he wouldn't have even made the time the announcement was there and would have already been packing.
Yeah, we haven't talked about it, but how do you feel about Goretzka? Because his name has come up too, but he's like the on the Locatelli role. They
Ah,
said.
the Goretzka rumor, it does nothing for me, man. Nothing
Really,
for
I
me.
like it. I like it.
Yeah, I don't like it. Unless he brings that big bag of steroids they have at Bayern and we can all get jacked up and whatever, then yeah. But I don't know, man. The Goretzka thing, dude, he's on, like, what's he gonna take for money?
Yeah, it's not going to happen because of the money, and the report came from Bild. It didn't
Yeah,
came from
like,
Italy, but I know.
I
Yeah,
just
I
can't
think he
see
is a
it.
good player.
I just can't see it. Can't see it. But we're going to wrap things up there, you guys. We got a little bit of time before the match. Got a couple hours before we kick it on. About a half hour before kickoff. You guys know where to be. All right. Congratulations again going out on our kit winner and Animesh, passing on to Mustafa there. So fantastic stuff. All right. And there you go. Amazing. And finally winning something. Well, there you go. We give a lot away, so the chances are high there. All right. So there you go. There you go. And Frank, you want the Bremer kit? Well, we did the trivia, but hey, Cambiaso is on deck. So there you go. There you go. You guys take care. Go do whatever you do pre-game for the next couple hours. We will get back again half hour before kickoff. And of course, join your local official fan clubs. The watch parties are set all over the place, all right? Join up. We always have Rick Owsey 77 in here. He is from JOFC Melbourne. There's amazing fan clubs all over the world, okay? So show some love. Ciao tutti. We'll see you in a couple hours. Fino alla fine. Forza Juve. Tudor, don't piss us off. Deschilio, don't get hurt. Have a game. Have a game.
Our Lord and Savior.
Our Lord and Savior. Happy Easter.
Yeah.